Well, most of you can relax. They're not bringing warrants today. The cops are here to tell us about modern day policing. Especially you, Paul. You can relax. He's from Virginia. Yeah, the fugitive one. Yeah. We have with us today Chief Jason Bellamy of Kingsport Police Department. Accompanying him is Captain Justin Quillett, whom many of y'all may have saw run up and down those football lanes on the DB football field many years ago. Jason has been with the police department 27 years, and he has a bit of education behind him. He has a Master's of Education in Counseling from East Tennessee State University, as well as a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a minor in Criminal Justice. He is a graduate of the FBI National Academy, the National Forensic Academy, the MTAS Municipal Management Academy, and the Tennessee Law Enforcement Executive Leadership Development training, and lots of other training that accompanied his career. He started out as a patrolman in 2004, I believe. Yes. Detective Corporal, Training Sergeant, Patrol Lieutenant, Watch Commander, Jail Supervisor, Operations Bureau Captain, Commander, Deputy Police Chief, and in June of 2025 was appointed Chief of Police. He is married to Angie and has 2 children living here in Kingsport. Let's give a good Kiwanis welcome to Chief Jason Bellamy.
Sir. Thank you. I'm getting my timer started here so I don't get off track and get my pointer. I appreciate that warm welcome from Chief Addington, and it's a pleasure to be here. I thank you for the opportunity. There's a whole lot of people in this room that I've known for a long time, a lot of folks that I look up to, and again, it truly is an honor to be here. I don't know how I'm going to compete with the National Fig Newton Day, so I'll just apologize up front. That's a hard hill to climb, so my apologies if I don't live up to expectation on the Fig Newton part. What I really want to do today is just sort of give you a brief introduction to the department, sort of discuss some of the things that have changed for us and why they've changed, and kind of how the world has changed around us. Got a little bit in here about technology implementation and that sort of thing, and then future goals for our department and what we want to accomplish within my tenure and try to set it up for future success. So obviously everybody, if you picked up a paper, turned on your TV, there is a certain portrayal of the police profession that's out there right now, and sometimes it's not always pretty. A lot of times it's not pretty. And sometimes we cause that of our own making, and sometimes it's just based on fallacies and other things that are out there and misperceptions. So what I really want to say here, though, is there is still very strong community support, not only here in Kingsport, but within the region. I tell people all the time when they come to interview or hire on that, it is a tough time to be a policeman in the world today. It really is. Again, all you got to do is look around. But if you're going to be a policeman, there is no better place on the face of this earth to do it than right here in Kingsport, Tennessee. It absolutely, hands down, is. And I'll tell you why that's the case. It's because of people like you all. It's the community out here. It's the support that we garner from our citizenry. And it's second to none. And it is what allows us to get this done on a daily basis. A society that doesn't want to be policed properly can probably bow up and not be policed properly. We see examples of that in the United States, and we see it in the world. And but that's not where we're at here. We're very insulated. It's a great place to do it. So it's I'm sorry. My countdown's working. Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure my timer was running. What I will say about the job itself is it is very physically taxing, mentally taxing. Emotionally, it beats you up sometimes. You're on the mountain, and the next thing you know, you're in the valley. And that at times is very, very big burden to bear. And it does take its toll on you, and it wears on you. And I can tell you, in the 6 months, 7 months that I've been doing this job, there is a whole lot of added pressure once you come to that office. And, you know, you never really quite realize that until you're in those shoes. And so Chief Addington here, he wore this hat that I'm wearing for quite a few years. And he may have shared stories with you, but certainly from my perspective, I have a little different appreciation for the role that I'm in now and the men that have done it before me. So what I will also add here, I was looking at the other day, so the average tenure for a police chief in the United States today, a police chief, fire chiefs last forever. Police chiefs on the other hand, they've reduced this. I've watched it creep down over the years. 2 to 3 years is the average tenure for a police chief in the United States. That's an eye-opener and a little bit scary because you're resetting the needle every time, right? So the skills, the knowledge, the things that the community standards, other things that we build out of our department and help support, that kind of, again, the needle gets reset. And so anyway, I appreciate the invite early in my tenure because the fact is, if you'd waited, I might not have been here based on that 2 to 3 year, 2 to 3 year deal. So anyway, it is a pleasure to be here. I just, so that you all understand the toll that it takes on you. This picture right here was just taken about 2 weeks before I became chief. And so I don't know what happened, but you can look at me now. I'm pretty haggard and broken down, so I don't know. Actually, that's 1998. That's my academy graduation. This fellow right here with me, he's not with the department anymore. Chief Addington worked with his father and with him. That's Mark Flannery, Gail Flannery's son. So, but anyway, just a little bit of humor for you there. But it does take a toll on you. It kind of beats you up. I'm back up one too. We got everybody in here is close to my age or older. I thought if we had any young people in here, the little thing on my belt right there is not a cell phone. That's a beeper. And I was highfalutin back then too. Thought I was anyway. So here's some quick facts on our department. We were formed in 1917 with when the city was formed. Have a total of 172 employees. 126 of those are what we call sworn employees, and the other 46 are non-sworn. So that's going to be our dispatchers, our records clerks, and that kind of thing. The sworn employees may be detectives or your patrol folks, people that are dressed like me. We have an executive staff that consists of Captain Quillen, Captain Micah Johnston, myself, Commander Chris Tincher, and Deputy Chief Sean Chambers. There is about 145, 150 years of experience between that group of 5. We meet daily. We kind of set the chart for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year. And so we are divided into 7 divisions. Those divisions are Patrol Division. It's guys and gals you see out here in the cars every day. Criminal Investigation and Vice Division. That's your detectives and the guys that are working what we call dope. And so your drug investigators. Professional Standards Unit. That's a relatively newly formed unit. We've had that for 5 years, 6 years. And so they oversee the training for the department. They make sure that we're meeting standards for our accreditation. They make sure all our field training programs are in order and we're setting people on the right course. The administrative division, which is people like us out of the executive staff, that also includes our records group and the folks up front. Communications division, that's the guys that keep our radios and things running, keeps the communications going in our cars and on our portable radios, which I don't have one with me today. But and then dispatch, that's the men and women of our dispatch center down on Unicoi Street, and they're our lifeline. They're what connects us back to the mothership. They're the umbilical, and great group of folks down there. And shout out to them. The work they do down there probably goes almost unnoticed because they're just kind of tucked away. But the fact is, they're some of the finest men and women that you'll find doing that job anywhere. Remarkable group of people, and they keep us alive. And then the last division that we have is the jail. And so we have our own jail. We're kind of interesting in that fact. We're called a Type 2 facility, 72-hour hold. So if we've got somebody that's there for more than 3 days, they get transferred out to the county or wherever they go. But we're one of only 3 in the state. So it's kind of neat fact that we have our own jail. It's really invaluable. Sullivan County is a big county. Blountville's a long way away when you're trying to transport folks and get to where you need to be. And so what is a 30-minute call, if we had to make those transports to Sullivan County, would be 2 hours. And so we can make the drop here, and then the process begins from that point. We have multiple specialized units, so things like SWAT, our explosive ordnance disposal group, drone, bike patrol, hostage negotiation group, K9, school resource officers, which are something that really has sort of come online over the last 10 years or so. Not to say that they weren't present before, but the demand has grown because of some things I'll talk about here in just a second. And so we were no different. Ultimately, that's our biggest shift or unit that we have. And so they on a daily basis have more people working in the schools than some of the other units that we might have. But at the end of the day, that's a very, very vulnerable population, and we aim to protect them and the folks that are teaching there, but certainly the children mainly. It's what we're there to take care of. We also serve on a number of federal and state task force. So we have folks that are affiliated with TBI, FBI, ATF, DEA, Secret Service. The advantage of those relationships is when we need something, things can happen very fluidly, and it's very reciprocal. We provide effort on their stuff as well, but what we get out of that is also training, which is a big deal. And so the connectivity, the training, and occasionally there's money and equipment and other things that are affiliated with those. So it's always a good thing to kind of have that level of support. We have 2 full-time social workers. That's kind of new to the police realm as well. So we're very fortunate to have those. Pays great dividends in terms of some of the things that we do out here. And I'll kind of get to a little bit more of that in a minute. We've been CLIA accredited, so that's Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. We've been continuously accredited since 1992. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a minute. Chief Addington was probably in on the early days of that, and so that's something we're quite proud of. Answer about 60,000 to 70,000 calls annually. That catches people by surprise sometimes, quite a bit. We're running hot all the time, and about 4,000 arrests annually. I'm hitting the laser. There we go. So what hasn't changed? Maybe that's the easier question for me anyway. What hasn't changed? What hasn't changed is our core values and our mission. We are who we are. We'll always be who we are. And what we're here to do are these things right here. And at the end of the day, that's what drives us. We're going to prevent crime, protect life and property, preserve evidence, apprehend criminals, recover lost and stolen property, and enforce laws fairly and impartially. That's what we do. And that's who we are. So what has changed? Pretty much everything else, right? I mean, y'all are living in this world with me, so it's a wild and woolly world at times. And I can tell you from a police perspective, there's times where I don't hardly even recognize what I came into in 1998. It's so different. I'm not saying that's bad or that's good. There's parts that are both, but the truth is it has changed drastically during that time. So some significant events that have affected policing. So everybody's familiar with these. And there's plenty before this. There's plenty that are during this. But these are some of the bigger things that happen. So what I will say is all these had impact. I look at Columbine, our active shooter training, the things that we do, the things that we prepare for on a regular basis, whether that happen, whether we have an active shooter in a commercial setting, industry location, or a school, or whatever it may be, all that really arose from that initial first school shooting. It absolutely turned the police world around. Foundationally, it changed who we were. There have been many since then that have had impact as well, but that first big one was a huge deal. So, we also, during this kind of window of time that I've been there, we've kind of emerged from the cocaine crisis of the 90s and maybe even the early 2000s. Synthetic drugs and opioids were a huge problem. We're in transition again. And what I have found, I've been around long enough, fortunately, I've realized everything's cyclical, including that. So we will ride that Ferris wheel, but that's kind of where we're at with it. There's a host of other things here, and I know there's a ton of varying opinions on all these things, but the proliferation of the homelessness issue, we see that here. We watched it out on the West Coast and other places for years, and then it's here. It's like everything else. We get a small sampling of pretty much everything that anybody else would be getting. What I will say about that is the city has worked diligently, the police department has worked diligently, and the community has worked diligently. And there's things still to be done, clearly, but we're making progress. It didn't get the way it was overnight, doesn't get fixed overnight, but it is absolutely something that we are, as a police department, we're honed in on, and I can tell you as a city, we are absolutely honed in on that in an effort to help people take a different trajectory from their current position. Okay, so the other thing that I want to kind of throw out here too, the defund the police movement, man, law of unintended consequence was attached to that all over the place. So I'll talk about that a little more in just a second, but what seemed like a good idea to some had profound consequence to the whole nationwide law enforcement perspective. It absolutely spun it around, and we're still reeling from it, to be quite frank. So, negative impact, hiring. Man, for a long time, we couldn't get anybody. So we reached our all-time high on vacancies around 2019, 2020. We were 23 officers down at one point. 23. Now, I don't know how that looks to you all, but what I can tell you, that equates to about 2 patrol shifts for me. There's only 4 main shifts. So it cut us in half in our patrol division, because that's where those absences were felt. What I will say is all this, again, is cyclical. So today what I can tell you is we're 4 positions down, which is completely manageable. That is normal for us to have vacancies and move people in and out. People leave for a variety of reasons, but it's completely manageable. 23, bitter pill to swallow. So the other thing that it impacted, our academy cost. We were spending virtually all our money for training on sending people to the academy. So what that means is the folks that stick around, that have tenure, they've been around for a while, they're not getting the specialized training that we would like to give them simply because we were expensing money there. 4 vacancies, man, I can send people to all kinds of schools. I can get them honed up. I can make them available to you all for whatever you might want them for. And they got skills. But when we were in that window 5-6 years ago, that was an everyday uphill battle to kind of work through. We saw a reduction in state and federal funding during that time. Equipment, training, all those kind of things were impacted. Loss of training opportunities. And I mean, we were competing for such a limited pool of resources with all of these other agencies. So, ultimately everybody's wanting the person that has the best skills, the best qualifications, all those kind of things. But we were finding less and less people that fit that bill and less people that were willing to do this job simply because of some of the things that you see in the media or other places. It was a really tough time. We are working our way out of that. I think our last application pool had about 120-ish people in there. I'm looking for 4. I feel fairly confident I can shake that out. At one time, we were probably down to 15, about 15 applicants, and I needed 23. That math don't math. So we're in a much better place, but that's kind of the cycle that we've lived. You get a younger, less experienced workforce. Who's likely to make mistakes? Younger, less experienced people in your workforce, right? So there were things that we had to kind of work through as an agency that we had never seen before. And some of those we're still kind of working through. So talking about younger, less experienced workforce. So this is a chart that most people would hope would look like a bell curve. This is your years of service for all employees. This big column right here at the front is 0 to 5 years. So again, you can see that constitutes about 58 people. And then it goes down from there. So we're working our way back through this bubble that was created 5 or 6 years ago. What I can say about that is we have been graced with some of the finest people that are out there in terms of our new recruits. These are highly capable young men and women, and we're lucky to have them. When you break that down even further, you can see that when you're looking at employees 0 through 5 years, that big bubble is 0 to 1 year, the big tower over here on the left. So what we have to do as executive staff is figure out how to get them from there over to there and then onto that other chart, hopefully in a 20-plus year, 10-plus year, whatever it may be. What we really want is people to have 30-year careers at the police department. That was very common when I got there, very common. I mean, when I came to work there, and I think Justin would agree with this, Chief Addington would probably agree with this, I had people on my shift that I could turn to that had 20 years. I needed something as a young rookie, I just asked whoever was working in the zone next to me because they've been around forever. But now, the guy turns to somebody next to him, they've been there 6 months longer or whatever. From a supervisory perspective, it is harder to be a supervisor in the police department than it's ever been because of that. But it's getting better. We're like I say, we've been graced with some great people, great supervisors. And so, I'm going the wrong way. So, negative impact, change in public sentiment and media coverage. Kind of talked about that. Again, it ebbs and flows, but it was challenging for a while. And before I go to the next one, that beats people down more than you might realize. If you're a young man or a young woman and every day all you see or hear or read or know is the kind of negative side of things, it encourages you to go find something else to do because they're young and they can move on and they can do other things. Retirement system allows them to do that. There's other things that allow that to occur. And so what I will say is this community rallied in a really positive way. People dropping off food, people sending cards, people coming by, letters of encouragement. Like I say, if you're going to be a cop, right here, do it in Kingsport. Demand for instant justice leading to positive outcomes. We see this in the news all the time. When I was a kid, I was taught if you get pulled over, you take the ticket. If you think you weren't guilty, what do? You go to court, right? There's a judge. There's somebody gets paid to hear these things. Not as much today. What they want to do is argue that on the side of the road. That turns into some kind of heated debate. Sometimes that turns into an arrest. It turns into all kinds of things that we really would rather not encounter. And we still see a lot of that. Greater risk for violence and danger. So there's a little chart. 2023, 34.82% increase in assaults on officers. 34.49% increase in assaults with injury. That's a pretty, ugly thing to offer to a new guy or gal. So it is the world has changed around us. It's become more violent. It's become less predictable. What we feel compelled to do is we arm them with the best skills that we can give them, the best knowledge that we can give them, and we insulate them from that. These are nationwide too. So if I showed you a local set of statistics that reflected this same information, those numbers are significantly decreased. Again, it's a great place to be a police officer here. It is. It truly is. Nationwide, I can't answer for what it would be like to be in Seattle or Portland or Chicago or another major city. But I'm here for a reason. I stuck around for a long time. I like it here. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise kids. It's a great place to work. And it's a great place to do this kind of work. So let's talk about some of the positive things that came out of this. Let's not just end on a negative side of things. So youthful, invigorated workforce, right? We got people that are in their 20s. They can get out here and they work all day and all night. demand for professionalization. So the accreditation process that I talked about, what that does is basically we voluntarily submit ourselves to about 450 standards that go above and beyond what is legally required. So it provides you with the most legally defensible best practices in the business. And so we are nationally accredited. We are also working on a state accreditation process right now, which has just a few more things that are state specific. And we are also hoping to have our Central Dispatch Center accredited nationally, probably within a year and a half. We're working on that process right now. Demilitarization. So we've moved back over to more of a community caretaker role. You still see things that might look a little militarized on uniforms or whatever, but for the most part, community caretaker role, less traditional. You all probably seen some of our folks out there. They got beards, they got tattoos, and all kinds of stuff. And I can tell you, as a guy that's been around for a long time, that is not my cup of tea. It is not my cup of tea. But what I will say is society changes, and if you don't roll with the punches, you're not going to have anybody working there. That's just how it is. And society currently is very accepting of those kind of things. It's not a deal breaker at all. And so relaxing some of that stuff has been instrumental in us being able to bring these numbers to where they are. And the truth is, not only have we not suffered a negative consequence from it, we've actually grown in a lot of ways. Improved workforce diversity. So not only with the tattoos and beards part, but just in our racial and ethnic and gender makeup. It's good, right? So we're attracting a different set of employees, potential employees, than we once were. So we have Hispanics, Asians, African Americans. We have a host of people. We are becoming more and more reflective of our community. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That's a winner every day because it builds community trust and rapport, cultural awareness, all these kind of things that kind of come with that territory. Better educated. So I remember when I hired on, there were maybe 2 of us at the time that had a master's degree, and there were several people that had bachelor's degrees. Currently, over 58% of our employees have a college education, an associate's degree or better. So 16.3% associates, 36.7% bachelor's degrees, and 5.1% have master's degrees of some sort. So what I will say to that is that's just a really nice extra piece that, icing on the cake. That educational experience lends itself to a lot of things, but certainly improves our workforce to have those folks in there. We have become more and more focused on our own core values and the culture of our department. To me, that's where it's at, right? You establish a culture of appropriateness, expectation. You lay all that out on the front end. People value their membership to the organization, and they're not very quick to let that go. And so they don't make the kind of mistakes that might be made in an organization with poor culture. So greater community engagement, that's always good too. And I'll talk a little bit more about this as we kind of move through this. Better pay and benefits, and we have always seen great community support. Here's some things that we've added. I'll just throw the list up there. I didn't bring pictures or anything else. This is technological advancements that we made. Everybody's seen the new Justice Center build out that's going on over there. Chief Addington was involved in the one that's there now, and this has been a long time coming. The city has made a substantial investment in that. It's awesome. It's going to be cool. Everybody needs to come over and take a look at it when you get a chance. Provides consolidation of the courts upstairs, so our citizenry is better served by that. A lot of safety innovations will be incorporated into it, and it gives us the space that we need to build out so that we can serve everybody properly. Again, there's a bunch of things on here that are you can just kind of roll through. A couple that I'll hit on. The RMS system, that's our records management system, that has been a game changer for us. The ability to crush data in a way that gives you direction is incredibly important. I mean, otherwise you're just chasing your tail, potentially. I mean, you might get lucky and have it going the right way. But the truth is, what we're able to do is crunch this stuff in a way it tells us where we need to be, when we need to be there, the most likely time that we can get the result that we desire. And so having that has been truly remarkable. But the thing that probably is equally as impressive, and I've wanted this forever, and we got it GPS aided dispatching a year and a half, 2 years ago. So what that does, instead, our old system, in a nutshell, it just sent whoever the zone assignment was. Well, the problem was you could be assigned to Colonial Heights and you may be downtown because you're working on some piece of paperwork or whatever at the Justice Center. That's not the way this works. What it does is it looks and sees where you are, and then it sends the closest car. So our response times have just trickled down. But at the end of the day, response times equal safety and equal lives saved somewhere. Everything is counted in lives in our world. And so that has been truly a big change for us. Some of our future goals right here. So our staffing, obviously, we're going to continue to work toward a fully staffed department. We're closer than we've been in a long time. Encourage and embrace progressive employee-driven change. So one of the things that we do at the department, at least every other year, we meet as an executive staff with every employee on an individual basis. What we want to know is their goals and desires and what they believe that could be changed to make it better. I can tell you in Chief Phipps's tenure, Chief Phipps was right before me, we worked through these things. We had about 70 changes to policy, uniforms, whatever, just a ton of stuff over that window of time. A lot of that was early in his tenure, and it came almost exclusively out of these conversations with employees. They drove that change. They understand what's needed. They understand what they need to make their job better, more efficient, better way to serve the citizens. Outward facing, again, I mentioned that earlier. We have a strong desire to be out in our community, be available. Continue to harness technology, and so, we have done a lot of that. There's a few things out there that we would like to see come on board. We continue to work on those. I'll make no bones about it. Everything in the police world, technology related, is super expensive. But we are very fortunate. We manage about $2 million worth of grants out of the police department on an annual basis. We seek funding that routinely provides for things that we implement. So you might have seen tasers on here a minute ago. That was about a $460,000 investment, cost zero to the citizens of the city of Kingsport. No taxpayer money was expensed for that. That was grant dollars. The armored rescue vehicle, that arose out of a need. We need to be able to get folks out of bad situations. And I could give, if anybody ever wants to talk about that, I can give you a whole rundown on that alone. But that was a $300,000 purchase. Your local drug dealers funded that exclusively. So seized drug assets, they covered that. So we spent their money wisely. And but that has been a game changer for us. It allows a degree of protection and ability to enter a situation that's very hostile without risking our employees. The enhanced utilization of data. We will continue to be a data-driven agency. We will continue to push for new innovations. We will continue to provide a degree of service that our citizens both deserve and expect. We want a top-tier police department. That's my goal. That's his goal. And that's the goal of the other men and women that work over there. And so we will continue to strive to do that in the ways that we can. And we are always an open book. And what I will say is you all, anybody in here is more than welcome to reach out to me anytime if you'd like to have further conversation about any of the things you've seen in here, or if you've got ideas of your own. Please stop by, call, whatever. I think I've got my contact there. Yeah. So now don't just share that with anybody. I mean, don't be out there selling that on the street or anything. But no, seriously, if anybody in here has any desire to have further conversation about any of the things we've talked about here or anything that's on your mind, I'm open to those conversations. My executive staff is absolutely open to those conversations. We welcome that. We want to be engaged in any way possible. And so we thank you. Thank you for your time. I think we've still got a few minutes on the clock. I might run over just a few, but questions. Sir?